Or I made one of these little sheets about this work. Oh, should I? You know how to use it, have a machine, and just put it on the top. So they're going to focus on. And then, right, yeah. And then hit the number that you want, like a number like 5 or 4 copies, or before of us remaining, if you keep one for yourself. No, over here, Lori. Well, I'm gonna get that one. Very well. Okay. Oh, that one. So.
You, is there public comments by any chance?
I haven't been meeting well, so I thought I'd stop and see what's going on.
All right, okay. And you're on the agenda already with the property.
And then trying to.
Excellent.
She'll be doing the work.
Ah, all right.
I can tell she can hear.
Hi, Laura.
That's your original one.
Hi.
Has this been repaired or replaced, brand new, all of a sudden?
No,
All of a sudden, we have something that can actually
didn't
hear
hear.
it and speak back. It's great.
That is good.
I listened to the recording and it was very weird because the beginning was a little sketchy, it was hard to hear, and then the end of the meeting was perfect.
Which meeting you're
Thank you. The last meeting, March's meeting, town board meeting. On the YouTube,
Yeah.
That wasn't that sketchy.
at the beginning, oh. Well, it wasn't sketchy, like the audio was a little crackly.
Yes.
Was this a revision? Oh, no.
Oh, it was supposed to go in the packet.
No, okay.
Did I miss it, Lori? I'm sorry.
Well, I sent it to you yesterday, but
Okay. I'm sorry.
no, it's fine.
Ready?
Yep.
All right, tonight's Oregon Town Board meeting will come to order. And Jennifer, can you do a roll call? This is
Yes, Carl Walzer,
here.
Lori Fitzgerald here, Arlen Kai,
Here.
and Steve Jernigan.
Here.
Thank you. And then agenda item number 3 is approval of the minutes from March 12. And that was, Jennifer, can I ask you, was there a difference between the minutes that were in the body of the email versus the minutes that are in the packet?
No.
Okay. Does anyone have questions about last month's minutes?
Move approval? Wait, you're gonna just do it by acclamation?
Let's do it. No questions, anyone?
No
And
question.
then without objection, the March 12th minutes are approved. Item number 4, I've got the stack of the payment approval report and the invoices and things here. One of the, Jennifer, sorry, bouncing on a little bit. I'm tempted to talk about the Ford now.
Okay,
So let's do that. So, does anybody, have you heard of the Ford F-550 purchase? It was approved back in May of 2023. And that was sort of the, not the thick of supply chain issues, but there were still issues. And what we ended up, just to summarize it, maybe, and Jennifer, you can like set me straight if I'm off a little bit here, but to really summarize it, we had certain loan proceeds targeted for certain equipment that wasn't available at the time. Other equipment was needed later at a later date. That was purchased with other loan proceeds. So the loan proceeds and the equipment purchases didn't necessarily match up. And the Ford F-550 is sort of the tail end of that. So there are no specific loan proceeds from, this would have been 2023. There are specific loan proceeds from that loan, but there are loan proceeds from previous loans in the equipment fund right now, I think, or general fund, I'm not sure which one's in now.
I'm gonna correct you because I mean, just a little bit is the 2023 loan was to pay for the Ford F-550, so and the inloader. And then other purchases we made in 23 were from loan proceeds from 2021, the parks truck, the mower,
Right.
those things were from the loan proceeds that because of supply chain issues, they weren't. So you were kind of correct, but I was maybe hearing it a little jumbled in my brain.
Okay, I appreciate it.
So on page 58, you could kind of follow along if you want to just sort of, we can, you know, if you want to talk about it right now, I sort of kind of laid out.
You want to step through that?
If you guys want me to.
This is the recap you did of the water.
Just the doors open.
But ultimately, I should say too, ultimately what we're gonna do or attempt to do is just re-approve the Ford purchase. Because it's really, it's in the parking lot at Kaiser right now. Because it showed up. So we're gonna reapprove that purchase and point to where the funds are. Because it's not necessarily exactly where the funds were a year ago. So if that makes any sense, we're just trying to tie it together.
It's sort
We're
of,
just trying to tie it together. So page 58 then.
Yeah. Okay, so there are two loans taken out. One was in 2021 and another loan was taken out in 2023. Both those loans that were taken out included road work and included equipment. The loan that was taken out in 2021 included purchasing a Parks truck and a mower. Because of supply chain issues, those were not actually purchased until this year, 2023. So those loan proceeds just stayed in our fund until they were ready. In 2023, we met to talk about the road for Alpine, the loan that we would need for Alpine, and then additional equipment. And at that time, it was determined that the F-550 would be replaced, but then there was discussion on if you would also replace the wheel loader. And it was decided, or in loader, it was decided that you would be replacing both of those pieces of equipment. And so the 2023 loan was to cover both of those pieces of equipment. Within that, there was also the excavator, that shared excavator cost. They upgraded the skid steer trailer. They went from it went from wheels to a track, I think is what it's called. They also purchased a power rake, which was in addition to a shared piece of equipment with the town of Dove. So there was a big portion of money spent on equipment in 23. As you can see, it was 293,817. And then how we were funding all that. Some of it we got back. The 48,880 was we sold the park truck and we sold the wheel loader, the end loader. So we have about 96,263 in the account right now. Those would be basically the leftover funds to go towards the F-550. The F-550 is 137,935.50. What they're hoping is to sell it at auction and get between $40,000 and $45,000.
So the existing one, the existing.
Yeah, so there should be a break-even point, but we would be done with loan proceeds and buying equipment. There would be no more funds available. So any new purchases, you'd have to find a new funding source.
Right. And there haven't been any other equipment requests from Public Works. So I shouldn't even say, it should be it for 2024, barring any kind of emergency need for equipment or a breakdown or whatever, you know, something gets totaled. I don't know how that happened, but this should be it for equipment for the rest of 2024. Any questions about the twisted history of this? And I want to say again too, it was approved, explicitly approved. The Ford F-550 was explicitly approved in a May 2023 board meeting. So it's been approved. This is just sort of covering the
But this is all also predicated on the selling of the
existing truck.
the
Yeah.
What is it?
It's also an F-550, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
the 550.
So if you kind of turn the page to page 59, you'll see, oh wait, excuse me. Where did it go? All right, well, maybe I didn't include it. I apologize.
It's-
We,
That you're looking for an invoice or you're looking for?
Are you looking for, are you
Um,
looking for this chart?
I'm looking at page 50. I'm sorry, page 50.
Oh.
So I apologize, page 50, I don't know, this, something happened here. Page 50, the town of Verona had a very similar F-550 that Abel was following on, the Wisconsin surplus. He said, it sold for $45.50. It was set up like the one we have. It is ours is a year older with the same mileage, and the underbody of ours looks cleaner where they had rust under their dump body and hoods. So they're sold for $45,500. So I think they're anticipating getting something in that ballpark.
And they did check with Kaiser on trade-in value and it was about $10,000 less. It was only 35,000 from Kaiser. So I think between the purchase and then sending the existing F-550 to auction or to Wisconsin surplus, then we'll be pretty darn close to break even on those.
And I think the only one that wasn't in that conversation in May was Lori, and I don't know if she had a chance to listen to the meeting, but
I did read the
okay,
explanation you sent me.
okay.
So what we can do is the check to Kaiser is listed in the payment vouchers already. We can approve that payment by the usual method, just send this around and you can initial it. But then this also comes up later under the Public Works report under item 12. So at that point, it's almost like we're triple approving this, but we could also approve it in that. It's at 12 C. Anything else on that before it comes around again in about agenda items? Okay, and then I'll sign off on the stack here and I'll send it down the table. Public, okay, anything else on item 4?
Is that gonna be unanimous with approval, or are you waiting?
Well, we're gonna do item 12, where it's in the agenda, and we'll just sign off.
Okay.
here, So we'll
Okay.
approve the payment. Any public comments? And Dave, you said no? Oh, Dave,
Regarding the truck,
sure,
so I know you said it would have been approved back in 2023 or whatever.
right.
Does our existing truck need to be replaced? I guess my only question is, if the truck's still working and if economic times have changed since when this was approved, are we committed to taking this from Kaiser?
I think what we try to do with the trade-ins, and probably when we we'll probably not just now, but we try to hit the sweet spot for the
Okay.
when the trade-in value is what,
Right.
and so that I think is what we're trying to do.
Okay, yeah, no,
And we don't have-
curious.
We're working on sort of a capital improvement plan where things are, all the things like this equipment, where it's aged out and you sort of find when's the prime time to trade in. And I think we're about at that point.
Okay.
With
No, I was just
with the
curious.
existing truck, yeah, thank you.
I would also add to that I think that there was a change of boards here too a little bit, and so there was a little bit of like what one board had kind
Right.
of pre-approved, and then what carried over to when the loan was actually taken out by a new board, so. And the old board had really kind of decided on that prior to kind of the loan.
I
being-
guess as long as we've got money for it, I didn't know if something had changed economically, if maybe we needed to wait a year, if Kaiser's really, if we had to take it or we're fine, then I guess.
It wasn't the economic aspect, it was more the delivery time. And we got, we weren't expecting it
Yeah.
when it showed up.
Okay.
But it's good. I mean, we need the truck.
Yeah.
So it's good that we got it, but and I think we're coming out of the supply chain delays. I hope we are. So I don't anticipate that we're gonna have things where we approve it, 18 months before it ever shows up. So it'll be easier to just keep track, and we're gonna probably build into a report somewhere any kind of pending purchases where something hasn't been delivered yet, so we can easily look at it and say, oh, look, we've got these things coming. But thanks for the question. Okay, item number 6, fire and EMS reports. We'll do, we do have something to talk about with Belleville, but let's talk first about Brooklyn and Oregon.
Okay,
really the only different thing that came up is the Brooklyn Fire and EMS has been looking at are you familiar with Lexipol at all? Lexipol is a company that deals with policy and management. So what they're looking at is, do they need a service that's going to make sure that they're in compliance throughout the fire and EMS? And there's a gentleman from the Maple Bluffs board that came in and talked about their experiences with Lexipol. It's quite expensive. It's not you can get a one-time shot where somebody comes in. Basically, it protects them legally that they're in compliance with everything. But the question is it necessary? Do they have the money to do that? And which in my case, I said, well, so how expensive is it? They don't really know yet. So that is, again, on hold until the May meeting, hopefully.
Can I ask you a question about that? Is that related to the new sort of performance standards that are either in effect now or coming into effect?
There's a number of things. Performance standards is related to, there's some, at least from an experienced person like I am on that board, it's they have to show, there's different strange things. Do they have to show growth in department growth in response times, things like this,
Right.
things that are totally under control. I mean, for the most part, if you've got when they're short on staff, if they get a call, for example, a call in Evansville for the tornado, where did their volunteers have to come from to get there, to get to Evansville?
We'll have to look into this more, because I think what the situation is too, is that we're on the hook for any kind of performance deficiencies. So whatever aid we get related to the fire districts, I think we would lose. But I don't, sitting here right now, I can't tell you all the details, but it was a red flag for municipalities that participate in districts like this.
Yeah, so it's and that's kind of nobody, but I know the Mason doesn't have the answer to that. Is it a reasonable request, or how much of a flex is there from the state or in the county? I don't know. That's something I wanted to bring up with Glenn tonight, but it just wasn't time.
Okay. And you attended Oregon too?
I did Oregon also.
Great.
And
Oregon?
they went over financial statements from the year. The only thing in there, they're pretty much right on target with everything. They're tight. There's a lot of discussion that they're not discussing talking about a new fire department at this particular time or where. I mean, that'll be quite an issue for the village, is where and how big, but that's something I think that's more so for the village trustees to. I think that's more on their plate than it is for the fire department itself. Down the line, there is going to be a need for a ladder truck. And I know that Glenn's done a great job of replacing trucks by taking a few years and looking and finding really good used trucks. They found a replacement in Albuquerque, I think, and it was a 2 or 3 year old truck that's been used quite a bit, but they got it for pennies on the dollar. And then they sent down Brad Willie they sent Brad down. I think it was Brad. Is that the correct one? Anyway, to Albuquerque to check it out and did all the mechanics on it and everything. And it looked great, but and I don't know what the ladder truck is probably 2 years down the line. You're looking at 1.5 million for a ladder truck as opposed to going out and finding a really good replacement that's used. So again, that's in kind of the future plans.
Okay, we'll want to firm up the timing as much as we can, because we're going to be paying for portion.
And they'll be talking about
Building
that.
and
They'll be,
truck.
I'm sure that's gonna come up. As the meetings go. The other thing, they did swear in a new firefighter, an EMS person. Very. He was was in the military, and I think he was in fire training in the military, then went through the training here and it's great to have him aboard.
Super.
A question on the ladder truck. It's $1.5 million, no small
Oh,
expenditure.
no,
I'm a little curious as to, usually this is for accessing taller buildings. And I don't know of anything greater than 4 stories in our community.
my understanding is anything over 3 stories, they need to get, right now they have adequate equipment. But anything over 3 stories, and there are things within the village as far as going up different apartments, different buildings. I think there's things in the works there.
mean,
For
new-
the
new
growth of the
construction?
building, they'll probably, yes, they'll probably be going over 3, 4, 5 stories, whatever.
Well,
That's all. But
Well, we're not over 4.
at the moment, I think you're right.
Yeah, so
So that's why this is, they're looking at least a couple years down the line, so. But with the growth of the village and they're going through their growing pains right now.
I want to say that Chief Linsmeyer was talking about the ladder truck a year or more ago. And
Yeah.
that same question came up, and I wish I could remember exactly what he answered, but I think it was based on the villages, and I don't know about the 2-year timeframe, but I think it was based on the village's desire for commercial growth.
It's the projections for the village, and again, I'm not privy to the village, so what they're talking about, but that's just, again, that's something that's in the future, whether it's 25 or 27. I don't think they can answer that yet. So.
Okay, good. For Belleville, their meeting was last month, I believe, and I have not seen the minutes, but I do want to talk about Belleville and our schedule conflict with their quarterly meetings. We talked a little bit about this last month. The BME Fire and EMS District does not require an elected official to be represented, to represent the town on the district board. Ideally, we would do that. I think ideally, we would have one of us go there, but as we talked about last month, it's very difficult to move this meeting without upsetting a number of different meetings. And occasionally I would think, oh, well, maybe one of us, we could rotate through and, so 4 times a year, one of us would miss this meeting and then go to the Fire and EMS District meeting, but that doesn't seem fair either, since we're supposed to be here. What we sort of circled around to was, would there be somebody from the town of Oregon portion of the BME Fire and EMS District who would be interested in representing the town on that board? And Jennifer came up with a list, and it's in the packet. The mailing list is on page 14, I want to say.
14, yes.
And at that point, Jennifer, have we sent out anything to this group, or?
No.
But we need to, well, I guess we need to decide, do we want to pursue this path? The path being to solicit someone from this group, and it's not we do not have a big share of that fire in the EMS district, it's like 2% of the entire population of the district. And it's about this, it's about, I thought it was 30 homes and 60-ish people, but maybe it's 15 and 30 people. I don't know what other great option we have. Go ahead.
Is there a compromise that we could work out where we could still uphold the decision we made to support having an elected official as the official liaison or representative, but would have a resident be a delegate to go to the meetings? Or would there be a way, another way would be keep in touch with the board through an elected official directly, but share the representation at the actual meetings with the resident?
So would, in what you're saying, would a
Well,
board
when
member
I'm-
attend the meeting?
The board meet, how much of this role is really contingent on attending the board meeting? There are other ways to keep in touch with.
Absolutely true.
And so I guess I remain troubled by the fact that we were asked to vote on something that is not, would now it turns out is not possible for us to carry out, having an elected official at those meetings. So I just want to suggest, yeah, going to the meetings, and there are meetings and meetings. We all have all kinds of meetings to go to, and they often conflict and overlap, and it's hard for everybody to be, I know, I get that part.
Mhm.
You have to stretch people really, really thin, but I just, as I said, and again, maybe I just don't understand what the whole point of that vote was back in August or whatever, to say it had to be an elected official who was representing us.
Well, technically, I'm still the representative
Okay.
for that fire and EMS
Okay.
district. So
Okay, so then
so
that,
we have that.
so then we're not defeating the purpose of that ruling we made with that.
No, so, but well, it's strange with that because of our really limited per capita.
Yes, that
Percentage.
I get
You know,
that, I
it's a
get that
strange thing.
part.
If it were Oregon,
The
where
village, yeah.
who were built in the hills, then it would be a way different story,
Yeah,
but
it's a different
so I
story.
think, I'm gonna use the word managing, but
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah,
not really managing it, but so I get the
So you're-
minutes, I
yeah.
get the agenda of the
Yeah,
meetings, I
okay.
get
you
the
can contact the,
annual
you can
information.
contact the department anytime. You can check in, you can meet people.
Mhm, right, if I need to meet them outside
Right,
of.
you can meet them
meeting.
outside of a meeting, so I guess that's just all I
I-
wanted
I-
to say,
I'm willing and able to do that, to continue. And again, if it were some other district, I would say that's not sufficient representation at a
right,
meeting,
right,
because if I'm not at the meeting, which I'm not, I haven't been for probably a year and a half,
yeah,
then, and it was a similar situation prior to me being the representative.
Right.
There's
No,
whoever it was didn't attend.
couldn't be, okay.
But the only downside to that is, I can't vote, I would not be there to vote,
Right, so that person, whoever goes has to vote, is
Right.
called upon to vote
right?
from time to time.
Correct. Correct. So that, but I will, that hasn't stopped the district board from operating, because
Yeah,
they're the ones that have more at stake. On every issue, 98% of what happens at that district board is because of people who've got that percentage of residents in the district. We may not even have two. It's either slightly above 2 or slightly under 2%.
Mhm.
So if we're, and again, it's never, if we're satisfied, if we're okay with that level of knowledge sharing without in-person representation,
Mhm.
I mean, that's fine then. And then it stays true to the vote from last year.
Yeah, I mean, I personally feel that having residents involved is a good idea. I'm not denying that that's a good idea. I just am concerned about this thing that we voted on and how we, how that. If we have, do we have to? I guess that's all. I'll say.
Actually, I don't remember how it was documented, but I know. what you mean.
Yeah,
Anything else, Laura?
no,
But, clarification question. We have, our residents represent about 2% of the Belleville Fire Department.
Mhm.
Is our vote 2% of the vote?
No, it's not. It's not.
So
But
how many votes are there?
I want to say, how many on the board? It's either 5 or 7.
So we have a disproportionate number of a disproportionate level of voting for the citizens that are being cared for.
I think historically, we've made an effort to, without any serious objection to a vote, is to vote in line with the others.
Yeah. Okay, well,
Although even, if you flip it around, let's say that the other, and I can't remember if it's 7 or 5, but let's say that the other board members are proposing something that we just horribly object to. Well, you're gonna have either 4-1 or 6-1 as the final vote, so
Mm.
the impact that our vote would have, unless is very small, right? Unless it's some borderline issue that really splits the board, which I never saw. You know, I was able to attend some of the meetings before, and that never really came up. There's not. They just don't they don't operate that way.
So looking back on the budget in the past, the town has not been paying a disproportionate amount for the services.
No, we pay by per capita,
Okay.
so it's the 2% or let's say 2.
Per capita of the residents that are served by Belgrade.
So it's a fraction.
By that.
I was very much in favor of having a representative from the area that is served there. As saying that one of these good citizens of these 19 households would have more skin in the game, more interest in what's going on there. I do not feel that we would benefit by having one of us kind of rotate through. We'd be a rookie at the meeting every time. A citizen would have like I say, some skin in the game and some continued knowledge if they came back to us. Now, you've also offered that you are the representative there and you're keeping track of the minutes, even though you're not attending. And you can be sending communications as needed.
Mhm. But keep in mind too that they have quarterly meetings, so there's a big gap in between meetings and minutes.
So with the quarterly meetings, it also cuts down the attendance and like I say, I would still.
But I don't know, and you bring up the list of people and what I don't know is
I'm interested.
to see if anybody's interested for one, and then I wonder if I would have to check with the board president on or maybe we have the district document somewhere on whether a resident can attend in a non-voting capacity. And then we would still have an elected official as the official representative. But the benefit to us would we would get information back quicker from any given meeting. You know, we could get a report back
From a citizen.
much quicker than 3
Yes.
months down the road.
Yes,
So that might be something to pursue.
I think that would be still a better thing to be having that consistent person reporting back to us.
Mhm.
I'm up for finding out if anybody's interested. I'm not even sure we need a vote on this. Jennifer, do you think we need a vote on this?
Are you
It's gonna be
just gonna give me a directive?
to
Okay, what's the
send out,
directive?
we'll put a letter together,
Okay,
asking whether any of the people on the list are interested in participating in a non-voting capacity on the BME Fire and EMS District Board.
And to be
And report back
Reporting
to
back to
this board at the next board meeting.
I'll draft something and send it around for
Okay,
approval.
that'd be great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I think that's a good compromise.
And if there is some excitement, they should be reporting back and then you can attend the meeting.
That's true. Okay, all right, anything else for fire and EMS? I don't think so. Agenda item 7 is park report. Steve, you want to tackle that?
Being that we have a sort of a functional park committee right now with missing 2 members, that just Steve and Robert left, but I've had calls from a few people in the Ravens Oaks area about some concerns they have for some of the growth at Ravens Oaks Park, and had some great conversations with them, and also Dave Frankson's called me a few times, and we're going to get together with the residents to do a walkthrough there. they know the park a lot better than I do, so we'll take a look at that and see what's happening, but they've been really, really excited about getting some things going out there. There's also one of the gentlemen is involved with Scout, has kids involved with scouting and is real interested in getting, continue what Steve has done for a while as far as getting, if there's any projects for the Boy Scouts to get involved with. I know there's a few things that, with invasive species out there, and which I'm really excited to get Diane aboard, who is an expert, sounds like, in invasive species, and that's something that we'll bring up, and we're gonna get together the 29th, I believe, with hopefully the new members, and also with we'll get Gloria and Jeff and myself and then Dave back together, and that's gonna be more of a meet and greet and get to know each other, and we're trying to put together, as I know I'm trying to put together what they've done in the past. We're gonna try to, again, Steve's done a great job over the 40-some years he's worked in this, and so it'll be an exciting project for basically a pretty new group.
Very good. One of the things we should do tonight is, we'll be looking for a motion to approve the appointment of Dave Frankston and Diane Hackett and Eugene Lewis. So.
I would, I would move that we approve all three of those, Dave, Diane, and Eugene as the newest members of the Parks Commission.
Very second.
Second.
Any discussion at all? Lauren, Arlen?
I just think I'm excited about reading what they have done. I've had a chance to, I think I told you I first met Eugene last fall at the Oregon Dog Park. We walk our dog every day, and Eugene would, and we just got talking, and for some reason Parks came up, and he was wondering what I was doing with the town. And he said he's pretty recently retired, and he would be real interested in becoming part of the Parks. To me, I said, well, keep your eyes open, because there's, at least at that time, I think it was Robert that announced that he was leaving the commission, and shortly afterwards, Steve put in his resignation. So,
Okay, sounds good. All in favor, say aye.
Okay.
Opposed, say no. Motion passes. We need to discuss the CARPC meeting schedule. I know that I don't know if that's a board issue. I think the scheduling itself, Steve, you had said you might want to push that back.
I would prefer that, and I know it's on here that to meet on April 29th. That will probably be the first time that the new park committee is going to get together. And I prefer that we just get together as a committee, introduce ourselves, talk about plans and hopes and wishes, and talk about budget. And Jennifer, would it be possible to
Sure,
get CARPC in the future at a May meeting?
So May, that was gonna be possibly a joint board meeting. Do you want to, how would you like to do that?
Yeah, we were gonna do.
Let me take a look at this. This is even May's full of all the rest of you.
So I think when looking ahead, and maybe Steve, when you come to the May board meeting, maybe you'd have a better idea, but tentatively the board scheduled Monday, May 20th as a joint meeting with the park committee.
Yeah.
Do you want to postpone that? And do you want to let us know when the new park committee wants that meeting?
Let me let you know when the new park
Okay,
committee will.
okay, maybe you'll be looking at a schedule, and then I'll just tell CARPC we'll reach back out to them after you've had your first meeting, and you let me know when they'd like to meet with CARPC.
Yep. That would work out wonderfully.
Okay,
That's fine. One thing, not horribly important, but we should probably do that, is the scope of the Parks Committee is really more than just the parks, especially if you continue on with community interaction or interaction with community groups, like whether it's the Eagle Scouts or whether it's Girl Scouts or whatever. So there's a recreation aspect to this, and I wouldn't mind changing the name of this committee to Parks and Recreation. Just to capture the scope.
What recreation are you, or,
Well, so the Eagle Scout. People have done the.
yes,
the bike-
I guess I'm trying to understand that recreation part of it. The Eagle Scouts, they're doing sort of capital projects into the parks.
Right, but would we also support that if it weren't in a park? And not that exact kind of project, but we supported projects here where, wasn't the gazebo, Jennifer, the gazebo out here, wasn't that something that was
It's an Eagle project, Eagle Scout
So-
project.
so it's not a park necessarily, I was just. It's not, like I said, it's not horribly important.
So we're just talking about changing the name to, personally, I like putting recreation in there because again, we have recreational equipment that we're working with and replacing and that's what it's for. It's for hiking, enjoyment, kids playing, the communities,
Why not, how about if one of your early meetings, just run it past and see, and it doesn't have to be that name, but I think just parks by itself. It's more than just the Parks Committee.
yes. Thank you.
Okay, anything else on the park agenda item?
Not my,
Agenda number 8 is related to the vacancy on the board. And you'll see information in the packet somewhere around page 22, 25. And one thing also on paper. So what you have in the packet, what there is now is a copy of the ordinance. It dictates it dictates when a vacancy occurs, what are the steps. What it does not cover is the actual meeting itself or meetings that that are used to fill the vacancy. So on paper, the one with the procedure for filling supervisor vacancy, it says 2023, I can update this, but I wanted to double check that this was the final version. I'm pretty sure it is. But this steps through how we did it last year. And I just wanted to have you see it for reference. And I know you didn't get a chance to look at it earlier, but if you have questions. It's between now and when we schedule those meetings, then feel free to ask. So no need to read it tonight.
Just be familiar with it for May.
It's a little convoluted, but the attempt is to make it as fair as possible. And
And we're having our meeting on Thursday, April 25th.
That's when the applications are due.
That's the deadline.
Yeah,
the deadline.
that's the deadline for when applications are due. So if we read the ordinance,
we have 2 meetings, I think, too.
so we'll be on page 26. At the end of the 4-week period, which is the 25th of April. They should set a public meeting in which applicants should be able to be given a reasonable opportunity. That's under E of the. So upon completion of the foregoing, but no longer than 2 weeks thereafter, they're entitled to a vote. So looking ahead, we would want to take that 25th, we'd want to schedule the date, we'd want to try to be within that 2-week period where you would want to have a vote. So I guess we're going to get rid of one meeting, which was the joint meeting on May 20th, and we're going to look ahead to say,
We have to juggle the schedule a little bit last time with applicants' availability. I think we did.
So,
The best we can do is probably at least think of a certain week when we want to do this. And then try to fit in applicants based on that, because we did them all in one night,
we did do them all in one,
or
Daytime,
was it daytime? Yeah.
yeah. afternoon. So the 25th is the last full week of April. Everyone's looking at their calendar, and then we have the first week of May. Well, May 1st is actually on a Wednesday. And then we'll have the first full week of May, and then obviously the second week of May is the board meeting, so May 14th. So would it look like maybe you'd want to have an opportunity for those interested to come that second or that first full week of May, the week of May 6th?
The week of the 6th.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But the 9th is the deadline that we have to, that would be the 2-week deadline. Which is,
The way that I read the ordinance, they're saying upon completion of the foregoing, so they're giving you some time. They want you to give some time for applicants to come make statements. And then, so after that, they don't want you to not take any action after you give them. They want after you've given them 2 weeks from that date. So that's how I read the ordinance, Arlen. I don't read it strictly like 2 weeks from when they return there.
what, no later than, it's
says
no
no,
longer
yeah.
than, somewhere between.
Yeah.
25th and
within
the
that
9th.
2-week period. So.
Yeah.
Right, it's a 2-week, granted, I'm seeing the 2-week, within that 2-week period.
So you're gonna wanna just decide how you wanna work that. So do you wanna set aside 2 days and then give an opportunity if someone can't make one day? I think we did that last time. It kind of turned into kind of
It was,
it was just,
it didn't work.
it was.
Right.
So, I mean, we have no applicants at this point, so I can't tell you. And we could really strongly suggest everyone coming on one day and then having a backup day if someone really couldn't make it. Maybe it's better to,
What about the 6th and the 8th as the primary day and the backup day?
I would just,
Or do we
it would be my suggestion, you would pick 2 different weeks. I
Oh,
would,
2 different weeks.
yeah,
okay.
only
Well-
because I think what happened last time was like someone was on vacation that
Yes,
whole
right,
week.
right.
Which,
Mhm.
you know, we might run into something like that again, but if you could pick something the week of the starting April 29th and then starting something May 6th, then that would give you,
How about Wednesday the 1st, and then
Monday, the 6th.
Monday the 6th?
and what would be your preferred, would we want to have a preferred day? That you would want me to,
Like a primary,
a primary date, and then that
Well,
would
why don't we go for the 1st, because
Okay.
that gives us, you know, at least a little cushion,
be, sure.
in case that doesn't work.
We'll go as primary date, May 1st for applicants to address the board.
And then if there's also the time of day. Since some people are going to be working or whatever, so is it a day or an evening interview time?
Lori, was it last time, was it at 2?
2 in the afternoon.
I think it was a later afternoon. Ireland, when we
But
did
I,
it last
I
time.
take the point if it's someone working
Right.
time.
the,
Early evening.
if I remember, the meeting itself was not overly long.
No.
No.
So even if it was, if there were an evening night, if there were a date with an evening meeting, it wouldn't last forever if we started
No.
at 6, you know, it'd be out of here probably at 7 or earlier.
Mhm.
We're not anticipating 7 candidates.
No, no, that's true. So.
Wednesday, May 1st at 6 PM,
Let's try that, and then maybe, let's just try that.
He says 6?
6 PM.
Mm,
Okay, and then we'll, if need be, if everyone can just X out on their schedule, then Monday, May 6th at 6 PM as well. If that would be a potential backup date for anyone that might not be able to make that. So May 1st is going to be the primary date with an option if someone is gone for Monday, May sixth at 6 p.m.
So are we saying an alternate date for all of them or a second date and alternate?
Just,
I know, I just want to make sure that the,
Let's see how it goes with getting people onto the first.
Yeah,
First.
yeah.
And then if we need to scramble and pick
It
it.
would be like maybe one person
Yeah.
that could make it on the first that would give that the opportunity is what I'm thinking.
sure, that's,
Because we might not be able to get everyone on the same night.
Right.
Lori, do you remember last time, did the board, I think we did presentations. We had
Yeah.
each candidate presented. Did we ask questions? Do you remember?
yes,
We did ask questions,
Yeah,
but the
questions.
same,
yeah, we had a set of questions.
okay,
I think what the village had gone through something very similar at the same time we were going through something, so I think everything was a big kind of learning curve for everyone. And I believe what we ended up doing was you came up with a list of questions and you actually submitted that to them ahead of time. And you got the answers back. And that essentially what you would let them do was you were just going to let them address you at that meeting. You weren't going to ask questions of them. Rather, they were just going to be able to give an opportunity to address the board.
well, so in the application itself, there are questions. You- you
And I
need
think
those.
we gave them an additional set of questions.
Okay,
Mhm.
okay.
Now that, I guess I found it a little awkward. Yes, it's fair to have everybody have. This may seem fair to have everybody have the same questions. They have to give the same thing, but sometimes these lead to a follow-up question.
And you can't do that.
Why can't you do that?
Because, and the village went through this and they had all of their attorneys, because it's unfair. Everyone has to be given the same opportunity. If you want to ask a follow-up question, you have to ask the same follow-up questions of the very next person. It's not like a job interview. It's an elected position in a sense, and so that's not the way that it's supposed to be done. Whether it makes sense to you or not, it's just
No,
not the way,
It's,
not the way that it should be done.
realize there's a, legal precedence there. It is definitely awkward.
And I just feel like you wouldn't want to do anything that would jeopardize what someone might feel like they're positioned to say
Mhm.
in a situation that someone else might have had an opportunity to say.
Right.
So I think it's best to just err on the side of being very cautious in this situation.
And the same thing, this came up last year too.
Yeah.
Because it's frustrating. If you've interviewed people before, you want to like something, piques your interest and you want to ask about it, but it's no can do. Okay, anything else on that? I don't think so.
So I would just ask though, I probably can find the list of questions. I will send them out to everyone. And then would you all please look at them? I'll try to maybe highlight it with a red exclamation point to kind of put it bold. And I'd like at least some response from all of you.
Mhm.
Like, hey, I looked at it. It looks good. Hey, I suggest this. And so we kind of have that already sort of, we're not trying to scramble it at the last minute.
That sounds great. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, item number 9, the court report.
You have an
Yeah.
extra sheet that I gave you. Main thing on, to talk about, Jennifer had suggested that we look into getting a mobile hand wash station down there. And we talked it over with the staff. I went down there, talked it over with them. The unit Jennifer found was $379. It presupposes that you have a hose with running water to hook up to the thing. But the guys talked about, they could bring jugs of water and funnel the water into the dispensers. And they were also concerned about the gray water that would be the, but they thought they could take that to the porta potty to get rid of it, they thought. So that was that discussion, $379 for a mobile hand wash station.
Okay,
And then another person pointed out, we do have this cleansing this hanging on the wall emergency hand wash, if you exposed to hazardous stuff. And that that should be part of our job to check it regularly and refill it. That needs to be looked at. But we already have this unit there, but I've always, it always seemed to me it was sort of like a one-time purchase sort of thing, and then you might have to replace it every year or whatever. And then the drinking water, the refrigerator down there works perfectly. And they're gonna bring bottled water and they can have bottled water, anybody, sometimes people on a hot day, not just the workers, it's good to be able to have fresh drinking water. So they can totally handle the drinking water part, don't have to buy a new refrigerator. And then the final discussion, this just came up, but it's been on and off over the years. It gets very hot down there in the afternoons, there's no shade, and we tried umbrellas and things that usually the umbrellas, when it gets really windy, they don't work so well, and we worry about they've come undone and they've gone flying, and this is not good. One discussion was maybe we could put an awning over the doorway, over the entrance to the office. So at least it would be something you could stand under. Truth of the matter, I don't know there's much that can be done down there really to provide shade. It gets so hot, and if you go inside the office, it's too hot in there, so anyway, those are the discussions that we had. I noticed that it looked like on the agenda, we still haven't really officially approved the new suggested hours, is that?
I think so, because we dropped out I think the
We dropped out
previous
the
schedule had
Wednesday.
Wednesdays and
Mhm.
a couple maybe other.
Yeah,
we still
so
need to-
Jennifer has in the packet what we did have for hours, and I also put in the report. April 6th was the first day we were open till 3. And they had 780 vehicles and 78, not 700, 78 vehicles.
Everybody show.
Everybody in town. Most of them were for brush, so that is panning out that the extra hours are helpful.
And we
too.
knew this, that
Yeah.
was gonna be the.
Yeah.
Super.
And so, but anyway, as far as the hand washing station, is that something we should consider, or should we go and look to see if there's an easier option than hauling jugs of water?
I mean, like, can they use, water? That sounds like a nightmare, what you're
It
talking
does.
Well, it
about.
does to me, but you're talking about,
Funneling water and doing those things.
yeah,
You want us to look, have they looked, or I could look some more at something that doesn't require a hose?
you could, if you, I mean, cause this is a 16 gallon, I think it's the 16 gallon unit.
What would you think if we looked into Bucky's having something that we could rent and see?
I think that Bucky's does have something, yeah.
It's- And I don't think it's that expensive either.
Mhm.
Would that be
It's cheaper
something?
than digging a well.
They certainly deserve to have a good sanitary station.
Yeah,
That's always been an
That they have.
issue.
Yeah.
yeah, it's-
How
Shouldn't
about if
be.
we just look into Bucky's and see how much that would be, if they could do something? I mean, we're in the months where it's
It,
pretty,
it would only be viable during the
Yeah.
warm months, but in the if that'd be a probably quicker, easier fix maybe.
okay, I
Let's
can,
just see what that,
I
yeah.
can contact Bucky's
Okay.
and see what.
and I think the awning or umbrellas, that's a good idea too. If there's a way to do it, we should try to do it.
Yeah,
Is there enough heat in the
yeah,
building
Yeah.
that would keep something from freezing?
yeah.
Okay, that's,
I misunderstood. I thought that they have radiant heat in there year round.
Oh, do
They
they?
do.
Oh.
They just crank it up when they're
Oh.
down there in the winter.
Okay, I thought you said there was.
Yeah,
like
I.
Space heater or
I.
something. Like, oh my gosh, it's like an episode of Survivor.
Yeah, yeah, well,
that's good to hear.
it's not for the faint of heart,
No, but we should make it.
Yeah, no, but they do, so they could keep it warm, yeah.
That's good.
So that's all I have.
Okay, let's go make a motion on the hours.
So the revised hours are.
It's page
Page 27.
27.
So this is what they came up with. After discussion, so. So do I make the motion?
You can.
Okay, so, I move that, if you look at page 27 of the packet, the, hours through the end of 2024 will be 8:30 AM to 3 PM through April, every Saturday. 8:30 to 1 PM, Saturdays, every Saturday, May through September. 8:30 AM to 3 PM, October and November, every Saturday. And then in December, 8:30 to 12 PM, every Saturday.
So I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion passes. Thank you.
Can I ask just a question? Sometimes we get calls about Wednesday. Are Wednesdays gonna be a no-go, or will you evaluate it again at some other point in time? Are you gonna evaluate it next year, or will you evaluate it if?
We said we would evaluate everything a year out from the
Yeah.
transition. So
Okay.
that'd be the end of June into July, you know, so middle of summer, more or less, we'll look at everything. I think that should be part of it, is hours of operation.
So no,
And-
so no Wednesday hours probably for the rest of 2024 would be
It's,
the board's.
I don't know how long, I mean, I'm not sure what we would. It would be the time where we wouldn't need the Wednesday hours, right? If we're evaluating the previous
Mhm.
year, starting in July, let's say. It'll be the fall by the time we have something to, if there are any changes,
I mean-
maybe no changes, but. So I think yes, it's probably,
Okay.
it seems like
If-
to me.
You're gonna be putting these hours onto the website.
Yeah.
That's why I wanna be very.
When you do
That's
that-
the one drawback of this, is that, it's always better if they're the same all the time.
That's
You
right.
know, because that's what people can remember, but we're trying to make it not waste resources by having staff down there baking in the heat, unnecessarily when everybody, is long gone,
Well, the
so.
consistent part is that it's open at 8:30 every Saturday.
Yes,
And
and it
change.
always was busiest in the morning, there's no question about it, busiest time was 8:30, well.
Yeah.
Till 1, yeah.
If you have the announcement with the hours on there, could you put on there, there will be no Wednesday?
Perfect, that's right.
Just say there will be no, and if for some reason there is a huge request and demand to do so, we can revisit it.
Yeah, I mean, that's come up different times, people have said when we have a big thunderstorm. I mean, it wouldn't be a bad thing if we just put that out there, that we were gonna have extra hours for a couple weeks, so. That, I could see that happening.
Okay, but we're not, I
But
guess I
it's
just
not,
wanna
we don't
make
have
it
to
clear that we're
promise
not
that,
gonna be evaluating this every single board meeting.
yeah.
No,
I
For
wanna
now,
just make that
yeah.
clear so that if someone contacts the office, that we're not holding out hope. There's
I
some-
think we've been fine tuning it more or less based
Yeah.
on Sheldon and the
Yeah,
guys'
yeah.
opinions.
Thank you.
So it shouldn't change every.
Well, even right here, just the statistics that you have here. On the Easter weekend, that Saturday, there was only 15 versus the 46 and the 78 on the weekends on either side.
Yeah, so we're just.
Just
gonna keep
showing what the
doing this.
holiday impact has, so all the more reason to
Yeah.
be having those 3 days always closed.
And we'll keep doing this every meeting, I'll get a sheet like this with the usage for everybody to see.
Well, directly related, at some point, we should probably talk about the punch cards that are still. In
Out there?
circulation, yeah, because, I mean, I know we're doing the buyback.
Well, let's
We have-
just continue with them.
But people are pulling them out and using them up, they are,
They are, I mean,
yeah,
I saw the
yeah.
buyback on
Yeah.
there, so.
Those are
I
ones
guess
that
that's-
sometimes I think people, yeah. That is something to think about. Our idea was they would just, eventually they'd be used up.
Yep.
And people do still pull them out. almost every weekend, at least one person has some old punch cards to
Could
use
you
up.
remind me of something? I was not a part of this board when that decision was made, but after the decision was made, and then Torque will be closing in the present, and the way they were used to. Was there a large rush then to buy more punch cards and was it told that you can use them as long as they're there, or? At some point, was there a deadline put on purchasing them?
Oh,
Just curiosity.
well, there was a lot of people bought extra cards when we raised the rates at the end of 2022. And so, and we, I think the board, the staff and we bent over backwards to buy back cards before July 1st when we, you know, so a lot of people did sell their cards back and get their money back. But there's still people with cards.
I mean, it's like, they paid for them and they're gonna reap the money.
And they've just been accepting them if they have some. But then this time, apparently some people actually wanted their money back and we've just been. It just seemed like, you know, to your point, there could be an official cutoff. We could think about that down the, but it was always like, it was a way of kind of. It just helped ease the pain, you know, it was just kind of like, yeah, we get it.
I think we don't know how many are out there.
We don't, because
And
if people
so-
have them from 20 years ago, no kidding.
Yeah, no.
They come, they're
So-
all there, they find them in the back of the drawer in the kitchen, you know.
Someone's gonna come and cry, go get tissue.
They've been washed and dried several times and there's still, you could still see a few empty punches. Yeah,
We were probably obligated to accept them anyway, unless we can.
Yeah, there's no harm.
There's no harm other than
Yeah.
just
yeah,
procedural hassle
yeah,
at the tour,
yeah.
but it's fine.
Yeah.
But there's nothing urgent.
But I
about
think
that.
we did a good job of helping out the people that had. A lot of people who overbought.
Right.
A lot of them got their money back and they were pleased to get it back. And so that worked out okay.
Yeah, so I would assume that. Most people are happy with whatever they have going on with their punch cards, whether they're gone or whether they're stacked up, but that's fine. Okay, anything else with the torque? Moving on to number 10, Plan Commission, and we've got a rezone. Petition in front of us from Nick and Laura. And Arlen, do you want to take that one?
Yes, we have, the plan commission approved the land division. It is in compliance with the comprehensive plan. And to facilitate that, I move that we approve the land zone certified survey map petition number DC PREZ 2024-12027 which is, and there's a lot of other numbers, which is 5596 and 5600 Windridge Road, Oregon, Wisconsin.
Give her a second.
Second,
Any discussion? Any hearing none? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. The motion passes.
Uh,
Sorry, I didn't move that earlier. I should have.
I know, I apologize, I thought the same thing.
Sorry, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Usually we zoom through some of these items, but we didn't quite zoom.
thank you.
Laura, how did you hear us? How did it sound to you?
You guys have been fine. I've been able to hear everything. In fact, my food just got here, so I'm in the elevator. And you guys have been fine the whole way.
That's very cool.
One other thing, we talked about having a joint meeting with the plan commission regarding finances and an impact on land use and the comprehensive plan. The request from the plan commission was, or from the plan commission chair, Yamachek, was that anything that we need to be having some kind of ideas. If we want to have that joint meeting, we need to have some ideas submitted to the plan commission so that plan commission members can do their own due diligence and research within the comprehensive plan to see how those brainstorming options fit.
And I think what I would like to do is have this group get together and talk through, comprehensive plan related issues that might, involve the plan commission, funding issues in general, to get a feel for, what options are available to us that we control, that we have some control over as far as funding for the town. And if new construction comes into that equation or not. So I don't know if that looks like a work session. I don't know if that looks like just part of, it could just be part of a regular meeting, you know, that we go on forever and ever, but if they have some kind of discussion like that, because the budget issues aren't gonna be met by any one thing. Let me put it this way, so the financing options we have, each have different characteristics as far as when they become, valuable to the town, and what kind of schedule, and what liabilities the town have, and what significant changes does the town need to make. And that runs the gamut from financing to grants to, you know, new construction, and just there are a number of things, but there's not a big number of things. It's a relatively small finite number. But I think we should talk about that first as a board. And then for those portions of that discussion that the plan commission can have some either assistance, or it impacts them, or impacts the comprehensive plan, or anything like that, then let's get together with the plan commission.
I would suggest a work session, since it could be. We need to have some of the research as to what other municipalities are doing, where they've succeeded, where they are still frustrated, and some of the options that are in the future, legislative wise. So there's a number of things that are out there that I think we need to be having a brainstorming session and make a list, narrow it down, and say, these are the things we want to concentrate on. And these are not.
And I think a work session would be more relaxed for us
Yes.
in having the discussion, because there's always a time constraint here with the regular meetings. So the trick to that would be trying to find a new meeting date then. And I don't think there's any extreme urgency. I would like to get past the point where we have the vacancy filled on the board. So we probably don't even need to schedule something out at this point, but in the back of your mind, just think sometime probably in June. July or something, some summertime meeting.
And it may also fit with some of our, if we're looking at some planning for the budget, for the 2025 budget, that we start looking at some of those things too.
True. Right. Yep. Okay. Anybody comments, questions on that? But I think at some point it would be great to talk with the plan commission. We just need to have
Yes.
to talk about the. Actually has to do. with the plan
They're
commission.
requesting something to be doing their homework on.
Yep, that sounds great. Arlen, anything else for item 10? If not, then it's your turn with item 11.
We have, if you have, update on bidding 2024, the bids are going to be due next Monday. We are having the meeting where we're accepting the bids at 9 o'clock Monday morning. And three board members need to be there,
Yep, I'll leave it.
and I will be there.
I'll be there.
So we got 3 here. Steve, you're on the hook or off the hook at your leisure.
You've got 3 already.
Yes.
I'm gonna put a tentative. I think I've got a daughter.
Okay.
I have a daughter that's just in from India and right. But,
Okay, so let's just,
yeah, what time?
9 o'clock, I believe.
9
Oh,
o'clock.
you know what? I've already got 9 o'clock circled with only 9 o'clock in there, which means that this is probably,
That's what it is.
I have already, said I'd be there, so I will be there. Unless you just.
The actual decision is the next day.
Yeah, anyway,
I'll be there.
we'll be receiving the bids.
Mhm.
We will be will we be no, we approve it the next day when we have a board meeting.
And that's prior,
Prior to the annual meeting. So that'd be meeting here at 5:30. We are accepting, rejecting, all or part of the bids. And we do have, right now, the bids are unit based, so it's every individual street has a price. And if we exceed the 140,000, then we could be doing the surgical removal of some of the streets.
Sounds good.
So we'll see, we will see. The Delmore Consulting, this is something that was first approved to be handled within for the staff. Carl, you had come back with very great concerns that this is something that we should be having the consultant do this rather than our staff.
Yep, I just want to protect Abel and Ryan's time on this, and I think we've got a project for them to work on in lieu of this. The Delmore involvement is free. And you know, they would do the inventory, they would do the data entry, they would follow up on it, and they're recommended by the Towns Association.
But once that's free, we will be reimbursed. We'll be reimbursed by the county. It's a revenue neutral as far as the town is concerned.
But their involvement is free, I guess is what I'm saying. The $100,
That they'll charge will be reimbursed by the county. So just make sure that it's not assumed that this is free, that they're not going to do this for nothing.
it's net, no charge.
Okay, we have. Unless there's a question on that, and this has to be done. Or we have to notify the county that we're doing this by the 15th, I believe. So please. Wait a minute, did we just move this?
We didn't move it yet, but go ahead, if you.
Okay, well, if we approve this, then we need to go ahead. So I move that we retain Delmore Engineering to do the complete culvert and small bridge survey to be completed before the end of this year, and that town clerk notify the county that this is that this is what we're doing.
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion passes.
Survey results for the Echo Valley.
And I was willing just to go get them.
Okay,
That's what I
thank
was
you. Are you getting good at the?
You can tell me what was scooter both shop.
Those are the ones we received.
These are what we, so we have a stack here. So it looks like we need to
Yeah,
analyze it.
yes.
Well, you have put this together, would you, do you feel this is something that you could be collating everything on this?
Oh,
Or,
you mean right now?
no, I don't think. You're going to be the mind reader, lay your hands on it and give a report, that's it.
I could summarize it we would discuss it.
Why
next.
don't we discuss it at our next meeting?
Okay, I would be happy to do that. No problem. Somebody has all kinds of weird stuff on the back. It's a diagram. Somebody drew. Oh, this is interesting. Yeah. Okay. Should we pass that one around? It's a hidden intersection sign.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so it looks like you have quite a stack there. How many residents?
There's,
Where-
at the very bottom, there should be the mailing list of who I sent it to. And then
Oh, yes.
I did not cross-check who we received from.
You got a pretty good response. I'll just send this down your way and then I'll be
And then stop
happy.
by.
I'll be happy to,
Yeah,
forward that.
okay, perfect. Thank you.
Or
Somehow come up with a grid that shows the range of responses that we got. Seems like there was some strong feeling expressed in
some strong feelings.
opinions.
We'll see what strong feelings are about.
Would there be any reason that we wouldn't do every reasonable request? That doesn't overlap?
Let's find out what they are.
No, I'm just asking in general.
I think initially it was sort of like put up the signs, if you want to put another children present sign or, but then we did get into discussing where would be the place to put them. And then that became a little more complicated
Yeah.
and
Dave, would you like a bottle of water?
we'd be happy to bring you one.
Jennifer can do it.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, she has a basket.
There seems to be some things about like trimming, a lot of trimming
Oh, okay.
concerns on here, so that might,
Oh, okay.
Or is it, okay. Well, I guess it'd be also. Like, when's the next road and safety committee is May?
Would that go to?
Early.
Would that go?
Jen's already done, I know that.
The agenda's already done.
Jen's already done.
Is there anything that allows for the survey?
I can amend the agenda, I don't know.
Looks like May 9th.
May 9th,
So I mean, that's where it kind of came out of.
Yes, it can,
but you just wanted to go back to
I
their,
think, yes, I think that would be good.
Okay.
and then they could decide how to recommend to the board or. how-
Right, and because there's a number of, with the engineering staff there, they had a number of comments
Yes,
on,
they did.
the value of signs, where it's, why not, to, too many, signs are no good.
Yeah.
Or there, are the neighbors talking to each other? Is this trying to just
Yeah,
mitigate them from talking to, they're
Yeah.
stopping? So they have some insights,
yeah, they
and
did.
we're going to be having a new engineer added. Sue
Oh, right.
LeBrun,
Right.
who is with the county. And that's be a valuable person to have, and so adding her to the group, it again proves, we have a tremendous amount of talent within the town and people willing to serve and use those talents.
Yeah, it's a good group.
Yep, so
I will amend the agenda for road and traffic for May 9th to include discussion of survey results.
the construction bidding, or
Sorry, May 9th, road and traffic, I will add an agenda item that's discussion of the Echo Valley survey results.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else, Arlen?
For the road and the safety, I think we've talked about it. And I do want to thank Lori for taking minutes. It's difficult to try and conduct a meeting and take minutes at the same time. So that's been a great help, and actually gets the minutes out in a timely manner.
And you did submit a grant, didn't we?
What?
We submitted that grant, didn't we? The one.
Thank you, thank
Yeah,
you. Yes, that's the
That's
project.
very impressive.
The grant,
Let's.
we have a grant submitted. The state transportation STP,
Yes. Transportation.
well, whatever it is, it's in, we're applying for. See, the total project cost for the 2 mile stretch of Union Road would be about $568,000.
Hmm.
Of that, 400,000 would be paid by the grant, the state. So they will pay 80% up to 500,000.
Mhm.
We have to pay for the engineering. And anything above the 500,000 total, so we may also be paring some of that back if the actual bids come in higher or we do it.
Mm.
So it would be construction in 2026, engineering in 2025. So that engineering cost would be part of our road budget for 2025.
Mm.
If we get it, but
Yeah.
like a hockey coach client I had, he says you never score if you don't take a shot.
Yes,
That's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. Item number
Just a
12.
question, just, so roadwork bids are, the board would not be taking out a loan for any road bids for 2024, is that correct? So if they come in and they're over the 140, I just don't want to be caught off guard with not having any kind of like interest rates or anything available to you at the meeting. So I would suggest if you're thinking of the loan thing, that then you might postpone awarding the bids until you've had another meeting to discuss if you're gonna take out a loan. What I see has happened sometimes is they'll approve the bids and then they're like, oh, we'll work on funding later. Sometimes that gets a little hairy.
Would this project even land in 2024?
I'm so sorry.
No, this is,
Because it would be a 2025.
It would be 2025. The opening of the bids.
the grant is, construction will be 2026.
Okay,
Engineering would be 2025. The bids that we're receiving on Monday is
Yep.
2024.
oh, okay.
And
right.
that's what I'm
Oh, okay, so
asking.
you're not talking about that one.
I'm so
Okay,
sorry. No, I was asking specifically about the 24 bids. There have been times in the past where the board will say, gosh, we've gotten a fantastic deal. Like, we're never gonna pass up this deal. It's, the plant's operating and they're giving us a really good price. I just wanna know, being prepared as the clerk, if you're gonna start to say, hey, I think we should take out a loan, are you gonna want me to have interest rates or things there? And if you do, I would suggest instead of awarding the bids and working on the financing later, which happens often, which is fine, is that you might postpone awarding it until you've had some time to look at where you're gonna take.
this sort of overlaps with what I wanted to do with sort of budget reviews a couple times a year. And this is actually jumping ahead to the board communication a bit, but I think doing a budget review in May that gives us sort of 4 months of the past, the budget from the fall, seeing what might be needed. So a review in May and adjust if necessary, and then not again until I think September makes sense. So there's 3 months in between and 3 months after, where the same type of thing, it's a budget review. Like, oh my God, here we've got this this road project possibility that's ideal, let's try to do that. Or an equipment purchase or whatever it is, we can take a look at what is what's queued up more or less and say, okay, do we want to try to finance any of this stuff in this year? And go through a prioritization process to figure that out. It gives us more flexibility than saying, okay, we made this decision back in the fall of 2023 and now we have to stick with it for the rest of 2024. That's not realistic. To me, that's not realistic at all. This, it doesn't mean that we open the tap though and say, okay, hey, anybody's idea, any possible idea that you have, we're gonna throw a lot of money at it. But it gives us a chance to not feel as constrained about taking advantage of projects that would be ideally done in the current year. So that's not necessarily like everything gets the green light. It's we need to look at it and say, okay, what's important here and what's the ideal timing. So that what you're asking kind of fits into that in my head. And that would be the May board meeting. But are you then saying, hold off
You're
on-
giving yourself a lot of time
No, I
here,
know.
because you've got the bids that you're opening, right? And then the next night you're awarding. So if you're gonna
Right.
talk about saying, oh my gosh, it came in like, this is just such a fantastic price, but it's,
right, we wouldn't know it
it's,
for May.
right, so I'm saying is that, would you postpone, like, making an approval before the annual meeting on roads, if you thought you were gonna be borrowing some money? Or, yeah, I'm just asking,
Okay, we don't know. I think we have the option of accepting See, I guess we should look at the protocol. I think we can be accepting the bids and the meeting before the annual meeting. We can be accepting, we don't have to award. If we find this such a deal thing, I guess it's a matter of how long the bids are held or good for. Would be, and often that's a 30-day time,
That's what have
and I
to,
have to look at the.
paperwork,
Look at the paperwork there
Yeah.
in the advertisement,
yeah.
and if we do have that 30 days. Then we go to the main meeting and say, Jennifer,
Yeah,
see
okay,
what you can do to find the money.
okay,
But we don't, and then we have officially accepted the bids, we just haven't awarded it if we have such a deal.
okay, that
If
sounds
we,
great.
if we don't have such, oil just went up. So I'm not looking for such a deal.
Okay. Okay, then
But
I,
it'd be nice if, it'd be nice.
I won't have, then I don't just know that I won't prepare anything in terms of like what interest rates or anything for those meetings you guys will,
And I think that'd be a complicated
yeah, okay,
thing to be
perfect.
doing in half an hour.
Because I think we have other things too that are sort of queued up, like the AV equipment and. We're talking about the trailer already. But there might be some other smaller things that are sort of floating out there as ideas that haven't been. That haven't been acted on, and I can't think of the entire list, but. But I like that idea a lot of having sort of a budget discussion again a couple times a year.
Yes. Plan on it.
So I jumped ahead there to item 13B, but let's circle back to Public Works and item A is discussion possible approval of the quote for the, this is on quote for the storage room in the shed. And I believe that's page 47, starting with Southie Construction, and then after that, Mike Berman. I think, Jennifer, are you up to speed on this one? And my question is gonna be, okay, the bids are not identical as far as funds, materials and labor, the other is just labor.
I think that Hefty's bid was considering, the quote that Able got for, and it might have been in last month's, let me see if it was in last month's packet.
It's like 2,500, 2,700.
Yeah, I think you're right. Mhm. Yeah, yeah. He had gotten a quote from Stoughton Lumber maybe for doing that project. And I think that Hefty's went by that quote that he got from Stoughton Lumber and was just adding his labor on top of it.
Okay.
So what would the total cost for Hep be?
That's what we're gonna look. We're gonna look and see what that. What was from Stoughton Lumber. My emails. Remember when that was sent at all? Or,
I'm just checking.
Sorry,
my email. So Able sent something March 25th, but that was about the Mike Berman quote or bid. Going back in time here more. Is it, maybe this is it. Is it Nelson Young lumber?
Yes, that was it.
Okay, hold on. $3,059.
What date was that email?
The email date, hold on. March 18th. And subject is attached image.
Oh, there again.
It's just a PDF.
So really, we're at,
It probably is actually 2,899 as we wouldn't be charged tax.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, the.
2,900, say. Is what the materials were.
so really, we're within 400, $400
Mhm.
of each other, which makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Yep.
But Hefty would still be lower.
Actually, still be low if the lumberyard is still holding their price.
Yeah,
Yeah, I guess let me see how long that bid lasts.
The bid is back from December.
December,
Yeah.
Prices are subject to change. Really not, a date on that.
so.
It looked like Hefty's 6,400,
Mhm.
and then my Fearman is 6,847.
that's if
The
the
lumber,
lumberyard still holds to that price.
Yeah.
they might be more comparable now. Right?
I really.
Two of them.
Yeah, they're very close, so it makes more sense
Mhm.
bid wise.
Mhm. And then the Mike Berman is dated 3/9, so his materials
Mhm.
would have maybe, he got the prices
Um,
later.
Jennifer, what's our
If-
obligation as far as low? Well, this isn't a bid. Oh,
No,
no, we don't have any obligation.
it's not over $25,000.
Okay.
I mean, I talk a lot about, a funding source for it. It's under 10 grand. Probably is definitely within the repairs and supplies budget line item. It's definitely a capital cost. If you were doing a loan, this could be something that would be rolled into in 2024.
Right.
But since there's nothing, this would probably just have to be something in the budget that you would take from it,
Have we worked,
It could be drawing down some, savings, some fund balance, depending on, what else might come up, but it's under 10 grand.
okay, so budget wise.
Budget wise, I don't exactly know where you would want to take this from. There wasn't specifically a line item that was set aside for doing this job.
Okay,
So, I guess as it stands right now, it would probably from the Public Works Repairs and Supplies budget line item, which I think we put $40,000 in there. But we've had already a $10,000 expense, for fixing the truck.
right.
And we had, in just a minute, we'll talk about the $2,500 fix to the salt shed,
To what?
the salt shed door,
Oh.
the garage door, yeah.
Okay, so, have we worked with Mike Berman before?
no, I don't know him. I think he is someone that Abel has worked with in the past.
Okay. And has Hefty wrapped up most of the things on the punch list that they have control over? I mean, I know that there's no door yet or windows or glass, but other things? No, okay.
I mean, I
They were
would
gonna-
probably follow up with a letter. So I talked to him about 2 weeks, well, 2 weeks prior to the election. And I kind of said, I don't want anything to happen at this point because we're having in-person absentee. So I haven't seen him thus far, so I will probably reach out to him tomorrow and just ask him when he would be coming back through to finish some of the painting. You know, the door, the countertop, the window. So
Okay.
I can tell I don't want to be, what is that, when there's like a foreman or when a person that gets.
You wouldn't like to do that?
What's the title of that job? When you have to be,
Construction manager, right?
is that the title of the job?
Yeah.
Project manager of
Yeah.
the, no, I don't like that job.
We have a general contractor
Yeah,
for this project. We don't have a project manager.
yeah. no.
Other than the client. Well, whatever we're at, we're here. You're making faces. Do we need to be running through and have a formal punch list?
You know, Carl and I had talked about that. We did, Stephanie and I drafted a punch list.
Yes.
And we need that punch list to be kind of taken care of. I think now that the election's done, we're gonna get more aggressive about when's that gonna get done. I know they were waiting for the door, and that kind of predicated on when they were gonna do all the other work. They wanted to sort of send someone here when the, or send them here when the door was here, and then they wanted to do all of that at the same time. So it was kind of a wait and see when the door shows up, and I will assume the door hasn't showed up yet because we haven't seen them. And then they were gonna do everything based upon when the door arrived. So, you know, I make faces only because we're so close, but we're not totally there yet. So, but we have an election in August, so I anticipate that this would all be. I will say though, that until we sort of decide on the storage, what we're dealing with right now is we have some of our boxes that are in Abel's trailer, and we have some of our boxes that are in that closet that holds our chairs. And so, until we kind of find a home for all of this stuff, you know, we can't really bring all of our chairs back in, which really then we can't rent the hall, which, you know, that's maybe not a big deal. But just figuring out, you know, what should we do? Should we move back the boxes back into that room temporarily? But Abel needs his trailer. I mean, he hasn't said he needs it anytime soon, so.
Well, this is important to do, though. It's important to get this done. Is there any, historically, is there any benefit in even though similar companies, similar businesses like Mike Berman versus Hefty, to even if we haven't used Mike Berman before, to try him and see how his quality is? I mean, it's still.
Well,
I think what,
this is pretty rough construction to be.
yeah,
Yeah.
If there's anything that I'd be concerned about here is that the quote from Nelson Young Lumber
Mhm.
is 2,900, and that's from December.
Mhm. Right.
And one, is this a complete materials list?
Oh,
And two, is there a price change? That is gonna affect who gets this.
I will add, and I'm not the best to speak on it because I did not talk to Ed Hefty or Mike Buren specifically about what they're going to be building out there in terms of the storage, so, but I believe Mike is maybe independent. I don't know if that's the right term. He doesn't have a team.
oh,
And
okay.
so I think that his bid might reflect if Ryan and Abel helped him.
It doesn't say that.
It doesn't, so that's why I'm saying I'm not the best person to speak on it, but Abel verbally told that to me. And so and not that it should really come up in this conversation, but I'm bringing it up anyways, I guess.
Okay, well, anyway, this is all kind of loosey-goosey.
And I know that that's a great solution, honestly, because, our guys have comp time, our guys have vacation time. You know, it
Yeah.
might be just more ideal to have another team come in, whereas Hefty comes in and he has a team, and that
Yeah.
there'd be no expectation of our employees to help out. But it might affect the price too, so then that might be, well, maybe we would want, but you would really want somebody to address that in a quote if you were expecting and what kind of.
Yeah,
you-
I'm
you're
tempted
expecting.
I'm tempted to push this to May and ask, was able the contact person with both of these?
Yes, absolutely,
I'm
and you
tempted
might
to
need a
push
memo
this.
or something.
Yeah, I'm tempted to push this to May and then have him get some more information, and get better written quotes from both of these. And to actually to firm up the, materials quote too. If that's acceptable to everybody else.
Would. Arlen, would you want to maybe have a conversation?
I would like
Thank
to
you.
have a conversation.
Thank you. Okay, okay,
Right.
thank you.
We'll definitely,
With Able or with,
With Abel,
oh, okay,
yeah,
okay.
they speak a lingo.
Okay, so we were talking about the salt shed door, it's up next. It's page 56, I guess. 56.
Oh, I think I just included,
Oh, it's just
the what we paid is $27.75. I know Abel hand wrote on something he gave me that there is 1 year warranty on that. But it's fixed and it opens and closes and there's a remote, so.
Yes.
With that being said, I don't know if Abel, but what Abel mentioned to me is we had 100 tons of salt that we had existing in our contract that we fulfilled, and then we had that weird snowstorm. So they used some salt out of it. So in that meantime, we had reduced the salt order for next year to 250. We have a reserve from the salt contract this year that he could possibly get to fill the shed back up. Is there, do you want to approve that, or is that something that he can do? I mean, it's a reserve amount that we have every year, and sometimes we go into it and sometimes we don't. But sometimes we'll get an early fill and you'll see salt being delivered in August, but we didn't ask for an early fill. So this would just be buying off of last year's prices.
We would have approved that already, right?
Yeah, you
The dollar
approved it
amounts
already.
in the
Yeah,
budget.
you proved it already. Generally, it's gonna, the price of salt is probably going to go up. It would go up a little bit. So if he bought it now, it would be at a less amount than probably what we'll purchase for it. And then it would just fill the salt back.
I think it's up to, I think it falls under that process, the procedure of do it, it's already been approved, do it. A little write-up. They would check in with you and or Stephanie, what the way it's supposed to work.
Okay,
But
I
we just have
will
to
let
make
him
sure
know.
that it actually happens that way.
I will let him know. So.
Yeah.
That's what he was asking, maybe one truckload.
Yeah.
Okay.
in one of the garage door is being ordered, it's being installed, it's being.
Oh, done.
I don't know if you've driven by and you've seen them working in the salt shed. Have you driven by and seen the men that were out there and they were like, had their ladders on top of the salt?
No, I
You
didn't.
see that at all?
No.
Okay, well, if you drove by at all, you would have seen them working several times in that, because the garage door opener for the salt shed. So the salt shed where the salt is stored, the opener there was broken and they just could not get a fix for it. So they spent a long time, but it's now fixed. So that's what we're.
It's now
talking about.
fixed.
It's
The-
now
oh,
fixed.
it's the
That's the
opener.
2775, the motor of that opener, yes.
2,700?
$2,775, yes. Yes, and there's a 1-year warranty. So,
What?
1-year warranty.
Okay, item 12C is what we talked about earlier in the meeting about the Ford F-550. Jennifer, can I ask you,
Yeah.
the wording on here also includes the trailer, the skid-steer trailer?
That was something that you had asked me last month to ask Abel for quotes on it, and I didn't get anything.
Nothing yet.
Yeah,
Okay, so this item then is just for approval. Reapproval really of the purchase of the Ford F-550. And then the funding as described earlier. From Jennifer's recap.
That funding was approved a couple of years
It
ago.
was approved last
Yeah,
last May.
Last May.
Yeah.
Well, there's no action needed by us, is there?
There's technically not. There's technically not.
We've had the discussion on it, so.
Yeah, so it would be, I just thought, okay, to make a nice bow on it, but it's very clear in the May, whatever day of the month. it was.
I think that how it worked in the past and how it's going to work in the future are a little different. So how it worked in the past is like each piece of equipment was brought to the board with an invoice. It was approved by the board, that invoice was approved and the truck was bought. The problem we've run into recently is because of these supply chain issues, we've had these things where like, okay, we're approving them, but we don't know what the cost is going to be, right? So in May, what you guys did was you were approving a loan amount and you were approving, hey, we're gonna take out this loan amount and this loan amount is going to cover a wheel loader and it's going to cover an F-550, right? But you weren't actually like approving the truck necessarily, you were, but you didn't have the actual truck.
Mhm.
And so I think this new board is saying, well, we approved it, we didn't have the actual truck, we didn't have the actual invoice. It's just running differently to how it was done before when the actual invoice was approved. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Kind of in a way?
You know, what we
Yeah,
could do,
yeah,
We did officially approve it.
we did.
you did, but you
Not
didn't have the invoice.
Here's what we could,
specifically.
here's what we could do though, speaking of the invoice, on page whatever, 49 is the Kaiser invoice. So we could approve payment of that specific invoice.
Which you would do in part of your vouchers too.
And we've done an assignment on vouchers, but let's do that. So here, I'll do the motion. So I'll move to approve Kaiser invoice number PC 7276 for $137,935.50 payable to Kaiser Automotive Group. You're here a second. Also, any discussion? None? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion passes.
And I should have said something sooner. Sometimes they would discuss in their motion that they would sell the other one at the Wisconsin surplus or that they would use it as a trade-in. So do you want to,
I don't think we need to move for that.
I'm just saying
I think
what
it's
they
a
did in the past, but if you don't want to do that, that's fine.
Well, we discussed it earlier, right?
And-
Just to clarify, so the trade-in quoted by Kaiser was 35,000. The estimated sale at Wisconsin surplus was like 45,500, something like that. So the direction, I think, to Abel and Ryan is to sell it, try to sell it at Wisconsin surplus and not trade it in.
You may want to give that,
Make it a motion.
you may, just because you want to give them a directive that they can sell it at the auction.
Okay, so what I just said, I move to do that. Any second to that,
You sell it at auction,
to sell it at Wisconsin surplus?
are you setting a bottom price?
No, I don't think we can. I'm not sure we can at Wisconsin
can.
surplus.
You can.
Yeah.
So 40,
41? Or 40, I mean, something. It's gonna be definitely.
Higher than the Kaiser.
Looking at a truck, yes, it's a year older, and yes, we're gonna say that the bottom looks better than the other one, but they're gonna come back with what, but it's a year older. Whether it's blue book, I don't know.
I don't have a number that jumps out at me as like.
I'd hold off on that directed till we can find a little more information about,
You probably could go 35, because that would be,
well, 35 is what, yeah.
yeah, or 40.
Let's do 40, let's just do 40.
Yeah.
40?
Yeah,
I'm just picking a number out of it.
well, this is something that Abel was feeling that he could be getting,
He could get, it, yeah.
Yeah.
and let's take his word for it.
Okay. So I lost track of where we are in the motion.
You're gonna sell
So-
at Wisconsin surplus, existing F-550 to sell at Wisconsin surplus auction with a minimum bid, or with the
Reserve,
with the reserve, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Okay, with the reserve of 40,000.
all right, second on that.
Sick.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion passes.
And then I just wanna, I would like the board to, and I don't care if you make a motion or not, but I wanna make it just part of my minutes. So, all of this equipment that was purchased during 2023. And we went over that list previously. What we had done was we had that 2021 loan that was covering this mower and this Parks truck. We had taken that money, that $100,000 that was set aside, and we put it into what's called an LGIP, the Local Government Investment Pool Highway Equipment Fund. So we need to now take that money out of that fund, which we do, and that's going to be used to cover these expenses. I wanted to just make a note of that because sometimes people might look at our bank accounts and they might be like, oh, well, how come there's $100,000 missing?
Mhm.
Well, that's why that money was put in there, because we didn't know when this equipment was ever going to be
Right.
coming in.
Mhm.
So just making note of that. I don't think there needs to be a motion, but it just kind of
To be
operating
noted.
business, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so.
Sounds good. Okay, item 13 and a number of topics below it. 13A, just about the capital improvement plan. So Jennifer and I talked a little bit. Kate had started to move that in doing some action behind the CIP. I'm not exactly sure. I think she got to the point of finding some examples. And Jennifer's got examples too. So we're gonna. The public works guys are gonna work on their part. And then there'll be roads involved, and so, you know, everything of value. And so we'll start to do that, but that's one of those things that's long overdue and
In the office.
in office, yeah. Jennifer, anything else on that? That's, so it's starting up, more or less. 13B, I talked about my idea for a couple meetings to review the budget. 13C, this is the AV proposal. I checked, as I was putting notes together for this meeting, I realized I did not contact the audio contractors guys about splitting off the monitor, but then I thought, oh, the monitor's not such a bad idea if there is a crowd here for them to see the same stuff that's up here. So I'm tempted to leave it in. The ticket, I mean, the total cost was not exorbitant. I can't remember what, like around 20, upper 20s, I think, something like that. So this might be something that we sort through in May and decide whether we're gonna
$20.
not 20,000. I think it was 28,000.
Cares.
28.
28,000, something like that. It was under 30,000.
That's still a chunk of change.
I'm not saying it's not, but it's not one of your miles of road.
No,
I'm just saying.
well, no, it's a mile and a half of seal coating.
All right.
Okay.
So let's talk about that in May when we talk about the budget and whether that fits in. Jennifer, do you want to talk about D, the town hall office remodel? We did a
I
little
think
bit
I already
already.
did. Yeah,
Yes.
Would you bring that home with Dan?
yeah, I'll reach out to him tomorrow.
The E, the vision, what are we gonna call ourselves, a vision planning committee? the person we worked with at UW Extension was going to get me a final in quotes, proposal document before she disconnected for all of April. She did at the very end of March, and so I've been sitting on it for a week. What I'm gonna do is get it to the committee, the steering committee, and then I have a paper copy here, but I'll send you emails just to get you the document so you can take a look at it. It's not final yet. The committee will go through it, but
Who's on the steering committee?
Jennifer, Stephanie, Tim Janacek, and I. And really, the
Lori,
steering,
does Lori want to join it?
the steering,
No, I just wondered who they were.
mainly the purpose of the steering committee at this point is to coordinate the survey creation.
Mhm.
And we may or may not be working with other resources that Sarah from UW Extension has worked with.
Mhm.
Carl, I was a little like, when we had the last meeting, it seemed that that you had the focus groups and that the focus groups helped determine what the survey questions were. Is that the order that it went to that I'm trying to remember in my head?
I think it was, okay. I thought it was different.
Okay,
I thought it was not about the survey. I thought it was about the survey with one method of collecting information and then focus groups as another method. But I'm not confident in that. I've got the document somewhere in a pile here, but I'm not gonna go. I'll double check.
yeah, no, I had just been thinking about it for a while and when you brought it up.
I think it was separate. I think it was different workflows for that, but like I said, we talked about a few different variations on that, so I'll double check.
Were you involved with it when it happened many years ago?
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
it's been many years.
Yeah,
It's been a
yeah,
while.
weirdly enough, I think we have a lot of people that were still involved that are still around, that would be what maybe some focus group of just that group of people would be nice. They were trying to think of what focus groups and where you'd come from, and that might be one of them.
So there's I think it is separate. I think there's the survey, there's external research, there's the community survey, there's focus groups or something separate. The kickoff is, part of the process, some kind of workshop. So there are a few different places where residents can be involved. The steering committee isn't just steering, but it's a separate flow.
We need staring, that's basically what that means.
Just directing. Let's see, what else do we have? I think Jen, then just future meeting dates are listed here.
So I think I didn't add, so I apologize, I put in the package, but we got, missing is the Monday. I will send out an updated one. Monday, April 15th at 9 a.m. is the opening of the bids. The Tuesday, April 16th is going to be first at 5:30 to award bids or accept bids. and-
Acceptance, yeah.
Yeah.
Accept and or possible award.
Yeah, and then annual meeting, obviously. And then you have the meeting dates that we're going to be adding for discussion with the town board, which was May 1st.
Mhm.
That was a Wednesday. May 1st is gonna be added to that list with a potential alternate if someone can't make that day of Monday, May 6th, I believe,
Right. We did not set a time for that.
6 p.m.
Oh, we did for the 6th.
Yeah,
Okay.
6 p.m.
Oh,
for
yep.
both those days. And then it would lead us to the next town board meeting on May 14th. And then Steve, we're gonna cancel the Monday, May 20th joint board meeting. And then Steve will get back to us when that committee would be
Yes,
up and running. And then he will get
Yep.
back to me when he would like Percy to come talk
got
to.
it.
And the next plan commission meeting is there,
It would technically be Tuesday, May 16th. What did you guys decide at the last meeting? Do you remember, Dave?
I thought we went to the next Tuesday.
We Did you
On
go
the
to the
calendar,
20
but I can't
Did you
picture.
go to the 23rd?
Well, May 16th is Thursday.
No, April, sorry. So April 16th would technically, next Tuesday would technically be your plan commission meeting.
Yeah,
Did you go to I'm sorry, so sorry, April 23rd?
That sounds,
that makes more sense.
it's on the calendar, but I can't picture it here.
And you know what, because I've been in and out with my foot, I don't know that Stephanie and I ever crossed paths.
I would
So,
seem like you're pushing it as far into April as was allowable. So
know, there's always some
possibly
discussion
April
about-
23rd plan,
mhm.
check.
And then May 9th would be your road and traffic safety committee
Right.
meeting.
This isn't really a meeting date, but we're talking about the park committee. When do those folks need to be sworn in? Before the meeting? Before the meeting happens?
Well, you can kind of do it however you like. If you would like to show up and swear them in at the first park committee meeting, you could do that. Did you make a motion? Yeah, you made a motion to approve that all of them were, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, you already did that.
Yeah.
So that it's kind of it's kind of just
So no,
ceremonial type thing, the swearing in
Yeah.
of them. The park committee
Okay.
is an ad hoc committee,
Okay.
kind of like other committees. Probably what I will do I will send them, what I did for road and traffic was I'll send them things related to open meetings law, meeting, things like that.
okay,
But you know, if you want to actually go swear them in, you could do that. And
for some reason I thought it was required.
no, it's not. Plan commission is really our
Only one.
really our only one where it's statutory and we need to have dates and they have it's just a different, it's actually commission. We don't actually have park committee defined even in our ordinances.
Okay, but yeah, I'm sure nobody will visit if they don't get formally sworn.
I will reach out to all three of them and let them know. I will notify them that there is a meeting date.
April 29th at 1:00.
Yes, April 29th.
It is for what?
That is the park committee meeting, April 29th at 1 PM here at the town hall. I know that there was some interest in having a meeting earlier. It's just when I reached out between the last meeting and
Yes.
this meeting, it was really tough,
Too hard right now.
right,
there's-
too tough with,
we're looking at the 22nd.
but I think that Jeff didn't know he would be back yet.
Yeah,
So that
okay,
was the
so,
problem.
yeah, I have a question mark on the 22nd, so.
Yeah, so I think that's why it came up with the 29th, which is why it's normally the fourth Monday. It ended up being the fifth Monday, but that was just getting it in
But
April.
since we haven't had any contact, so Jeff and Gloria are still
Yeah,
on break.
yeah. So I'll just let
That's
the
important.
three members know that
Good.
that would be April 29th at 1 PM. And then I think at that meeting, you guys can decide what you'll have as a set schedule or how you'll do it,
Well,
you know.
that will be part of the discussion. That'll be a meet and greet, set schedule,
Okay.
get to know each other a little bit, especially with.
And I will let Curbsy know that we are going to take a rain check on their visit for that day.
Mhm.
I will try to get some sort of a sketch agenda for the day and get it into you, so.
Yeah, if you can get that into Stephanie. it would be awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see.
Busy April and May.
Turning out to be.
Item 14. Oh, sorry, anything else?
I was gonna just finish up on that. Do you want to meet sometime? You want to get together and just kind of talk about the agenda and stuff for the parks? That
Sure,
some things you'd like to include it.
Are we still shooting for Thursday if you can make it?
Yes.
If you can't make it, let's get together.
So I'm hoping that the nurses are gonna call and say your surgery, Cindy, is much earlier than that,
Okay.
and even. I don't have to worry about it at home, because Leslie will be with her at home, because she's got 48 hours of sitting, laying in her back.
Oh, okay.
And only be able to get up every 3 hours. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about it.
Anyway.
On Thursday. And we're on to item 14. Jennifer?
So, as you know, we run through an audit and they help us do the CT report, which is basically like the town's taxes. I just got it back on Monday, so haven't really quite looked through everything, but we'll get that all done. And then in terms of the election update, I apologize for everyone that it was 805 total voters, not 508. And the election results are on the back of your packet. But one thing that I just got, and it kind of came late, was the dates of open book and border review. And I put a calendar announcement out there, and some of you have already accepted it. But I just want to make sure again that there would be 3 people available. Open book is you do not attend open book, but you do have to attend the border review. They were suggesting July 29th as a date for border review. I believe that is a Monday. Let me just double check. Yeah, it's a Monday. It's the last Monday of July,
And that's the date is again.
July 29th.
Right.
And typically they start at noon, and border review has to be a 2-hour meeting, so we have to stay here for 2 hours to be in session. Would 3 of you be pretty confident about, okay,
I'm
Lori?
for sure.
Okay,
I haven't.
okay. No one has any vacation plans then.
It's a Monday.
Okay. So I got 3. Okay, perfect.
What time you said?
Noon. Yep.
It's
Typically
gonna
that's
be
noon.
Quieter than last.
I
year.
usually have a conflict on that, but we can rearrange things.
Okay, okay, so if that's okay, then I'll let Accurate know that that date and time is okay, okay. I'm done.
That's it.
I'm gonna pass that.
Oh, yeah, before, don't leave anybody before we need to sign this off. Let me wrap this up though. Any other comments, questions, topics before we adjourn?
I would just like one more, sorry. Annual meeting next week. I
Oh,
tried to put in the agenda, page 64. So this is kind of runs on the front page of a packet we have, and then behind that packet is usually all the annual reports from. So we're gonna have the meeting approval. The next meeting date would be April 15th of 2025. Rachel will be here, and we usually flip flop Glenn and Rachel, who goes first, because they try to get to other towns because they're doing it on the same day. The financial report by Stephanie. I do a budget comparison. We are recognizing Bob and Steve Root. Now, we did have that party for Steve Root when he left with the park committee members. We'll have the oath of office for the 2 that just, for Lori and Arlen, who just won. Belleville Fire and EMS, Carl, do you have their annual report for 2023?
I'm gonna double check because
Okay.
that's what I'll use just to do a really quick recap.
And then, Steve, have you seen the annual report for Brooklyn? Would you add that possibly to your list and see? Otherwise, I can reach out to clerk, the clerk at the Village of Brooklyn. Would you like me to do that?
Yeah,
Yep, I will do that.
that would be. A few reasons, probably the best way to do that.
Okay.
And give that to me, I will.
Ro Parker comes in and he does a little discussion of the Anderson Park. I will ask if Dane County, they have not come in the past, but now that we're doing that, you know, supplemental, I'm gonna ask to see if they can be available. I can't guarantee it, so I'm gonna put is there anything I'm missing or anything that anyone else?
Were we going, had we already done something for Mark O'Brien for his years in Brooklyn?
Oh,
We have not done anything.
no, so that would be, he did in 23, didn't he?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I will add his name to the
Please.
agenda. Thank you. I'm so sorry.
I think somebody,
Yes,
And-
please.
And what about Kate?
Well, we were talking about that, so,
I don't know how to.
well, like you always do it, it's like an annual, so you're always talking about
Oh,
23, and so she did 24, but we could. You know, so she left in 24, so usually you would do it at the 25, and if
Uh-huh.
that makes sense. to everyone, but it doesn't, there's no hard or fast rules about doing it,
Let's
so,
just include her now.
Okay.
It seems
okay,
like a long gap in between.
sure, that, yeah, exactly.
Can one person?
Yeah,
Did we do anything for Brian Duffin?
we did,
Okay.
and it was a year ago, and his.
Okay, I couldn't remember when that one,
Yes,
when I was
yeah,
thinking of their
yeah,
times, like.
Yes, and I still have his award
Okay.
actually here. We did that for him the year, last year.
Okay, so he's handled, okay.
Yeah, he just, yeah, he didn't show up, so, yeah, right, so we just need to make sure we are notifying everyone that we're doing it. And I know I notified him, but just want to make sure that we're letting everyone know they're being recognized. But if there is a list, so I've got Bob, Steve Rutt, Mark O'Brien, Kate Blatting, but if there's anybody else. I'm thinking Plan Commission 23, you guys didn't really welcome any new members in 23.
No,
Yeah,
no, it's something we continue.
Yeah.
Re-upped. He's one of our re-uppers.
Right,
and I think this year it might be Tim Janacek and,
Jess, I think,
okay,
not 100% on that though.
okay. Anything else that,
For the meeting.
yeah, for the annual meeting? So it'll be here, we'll have it via Zoom. If you look at the chairs, does everyone feel like that stack of chairs is more than enough for the annual meeting? Otherwise, I'm gonna have to go have some other
We
guys
don't, we
come.
don't know.
Take it out.
It'll be a lot of people or nobody, or very few people. It's always gonna be somebody. Don't know how
Right.
big.
Where are the rest?
No,
Oh, somewhere.
Oh, really?
you don't know. I don't know if they're buried in a trailer at the Torque or
Oh.
where they are. So that's why I wanted to make sure that we had a few days to have them
We
found.
have had large turnouts.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah,
I don't know how
And
well.
also, last year I don't think was very large, if I remember. Was it?
I don't think so.
Just.
was
in
it
this-
Torque year?
Was it then? Was it a torque unit? No, this.
Or Woodside here?
Oh, maybe it was.
Maybe I'll see if they can locate a few more stacks just to be on the safe side. Okay,
You don't have it in the minutes?
yeah, well, I would, but, all right, that's all I have. Thank you, sorry.
Okay, without,
Disappearing.
without
Agenda item. Where are the chairs?
Supervisor Kai, trying to adjourn this meeting.
What? I moved
No
to
objection,
the,
we're adjourned. There, squeaked it in.
done.
At 8:16.
Oh, I was wondering, did we get any, were there any, writing candidates, any of the 19 writing candidates that were serious, or were they Daffy Ducks and that we should be, we'll be seeing them in interviews? That's a bad joke. Yeah. So, no, we will see who applies to be. Looking forward to seeing who the new member will be. And this is actually a short,
Done, Joe.
a relatively short time.